What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. And the Democrats are working towards the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, which we could see here potentially this week or maybe even next week, because they could push it over to next week here. That could happen. Okay. And we also have several different things going on here right now. You could see here an inflation crisis on steroids. Advocates are urging Congress and the Biden administration, to help tenants facing rising rents. Now, we've seen with the last couple stimulus packages that they helped millions of renters and homeowners with rent payments and mortgage payments through rental assistance and mortgage assistance and utility assistance. Actually, there was $40 billion of rent assistance and $10 billion of mortgage assistance and utility assistance as well. So we see more of that here this year as well. I don't know if it's going to maybe be in this package, but remember, there could be more packages in the future, and there can be more reconciliation packages here as well. I will keep you up to date here on this, but here's what this says. Without quick action, too many more renters will fall into homelessness, one advocate told the Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs. To observe an inflation crisis on steroids, look no further than America's rental housing markets. Famed sociology professor Matthew Desmond told a panel of senators here on Tuesday, rental pricing has exceeded income gains by 325% since 1985, with costs growing at their fastest ever pace last year. And lowest income families already living in their cheapest homes available to them, who often spend an unsustainable portion of their paychecks on rent, are left with the fewest option but to cut back on other necessities like food and healthcare. Meanwhile, property owners are seeing an opportunity in the scarcity of affordable, available homes, are working to facilitate price hikes to make a profit, knowing they have a captive tenant base. Tuesday's congressional hearing was one of multiple held on soaring housing costs in recent weeks, zeroing in on the consequences faced by the nation's 44 million renter households, 36% of whom make less than $30,000 annually. Wow. With that rate going up to nearly half of Black renters, according to Harvard's Joint Center on Housing Studies. In June, the national median asking rent was up 14.1% from a year earlier, according to Redfin. And the median asking rent surpassed $2,000 for the first time in May. Wow. In some ultra hot markets like Cincinnati, Seattle, and Austin, and Nashville, asking rents have increased more than 30% in the past year alone, according to Redfin. Wow. Rising costs may be weighing on President Joe Biden's approval rating among young voters who have been particularly burdened by high rents. Speakers are pressing for urgent legislative solutions to the housing affordability crisis. Desmond advocated for bipartisan bills, including the Eviction Crisis Act and Family Stability Act and Opportunity Vouchers Act, which would establish a new permanent emergency rental assistance fund and create more housing vouchers, respectively. So I will keep you up to date here on this as we have seen billions and billions of dollars of this stuff approved here. You can see the links down below in the description of this video. There may still be rent assistance available, and there's definitely utility assistance and homeowners assistance available here. And there's links down below in the description of this video to see that. And here's Senator Joe Manchin, what he has to say about this upcoming bill. Take a listen.
Here I am.
Here he is, Senator Joe Manchin. That's you, right?
Yeah.
You look like a senator, don't you?
Yeah.
Now, what do you want to vote for? If you were a senator, what would you vote for?
I would
What would you vote for?
poop on the party.
What? That's what you would vote for?
Yeah. Goodbye.
Say, we love you.
We love you. Here's sunglasses for Daddy.
Okay, here's the real Senator Joe Manchin with some details about this bill. Check it out.
There is another vote count we're keeping a very close eye on tonight. It is the number of votes Senate Democrats need on that huge tax reform and climate agreement that was pulled together by Chuck Schumer and Joe Manchin. Well, I had a chance to speak with Senator Manchin shortly after he had a very critical conversation this afternoon. Take a look. I know how busy you have been on this reconciliation plan, but you need one more Democratic vote. Senator Kyrsten Sinema, I know you are scheduled to speak with her today. Is she on board?
Well, we did have a nice conversation, and we're exchanging papers back and forth to make sure we understand everything and she understands where we're coming from. And she's always, she's a friend, and she's always done her due diligence, and she'll look at all of this and then make her own decision. So I'm hopefully, there's a lot of good things in there, and she's worked very hard over the past on a lot of the issues that we're talking about. So we'll just have to see how it goes, but we're talking.
Well, when you spoke to her, is there anything standing in the way? Carried interest, for example. Is that something she is willing to work with you on? This is something that we have heard from Democrats and Republicans for years, that they want to close this loophole, but yet it's still hanging out there.
And, even the people that receive it have thought it's run its course. They said it's been a good run. And the only thing I've talked about with carried interest, and you know it better than anybody, Stephanie, is that, it's based on capital gain rates. Well, if you don't have any capital at all in the game, how are you getting the same reduced rates, since you have nothing at risk except your services that you're performing for a fee? It doesn't make any sense at all how it just doesn't seem like it's a fair system. So with that, over the years, they've said enough's enough. And even the people that have received it says, I think this day's come. It's been a good run. So we're hopefully that will stay there, and it just puts the fairness to the system. And if someone can explain it better to me of why it has to be there and who's going to be harmed if it's not there, I'm happy to hear them, but I haven't heard that yet. Maybe you have. Maybe you can explain it to me.
That's actually my question, sir, because for the last 5 years, I have asked for any lawmaker, any private equity industry expert to come on this show and explain to me why that's an important provision. No one has ever said yes. So can I ask you, behind closed doors, what do lawmakers tell you why they need to have it in our tax code?
I can't. I'm having a hard time getting those answers also. I just can't get a direct answer. I said, please tell me. I wouldn't harm anything, and I'm not punishing anybody. But if it's one-tenth of the richest, wealthiest people in the world that only are partaking this, then I think that this trying to put the fairness to it. We need to have a strong country. We have to have a strong tax program that pays for all the services. And I'm just thinking, a 15% minimum is the same thing. It went from 35 to 21 on net corporate taxes, Stephanie, and I thought that was a tremendous windfall, and I thought it would stop at 25, but people were very happy and ecstatic, and then I guess it wasn't enough. But on the carried interest, it makes no sense to me whatsoever, but I'm willing to hear those explanations, and I'm sure I will, and I'm going to exchange paper back and forth and see where it goes.
What does exchange papers back and forth mean? Either Kyrsten Sinema will go for this with you, or she won't.
No, that I don't know. I mean, the bottom line is she's asked some legitimate, we haven't had a chance to really get into it, and we've been trying to, because all the text is out right now, except for the accelerated permitting, that we believe it's absolutely the linchpin, the whole piece of legislation.
You did block Build Back Better twice out of fears it was only going to worsen inflation, much to the ire of other Democrats. And now here you are with the reconciliation plan, and Republicans are furious with you. They want to go after your seat come the next election. Are you prepared for that?
They've always gone after my seat. That's never prevented them before. And you know what? it's still those are my friends. I understand this process. And I don't begrudge people. I understand like Senator McConnell says, Joe, it's a shirts and skins game. Well, I don't really, I don't approach it that way. I approach it basically as a all unity game. We're all in it for our country. I'm not worried if I said the best politics is good government. If the Republicans have a good idea, I vote for it. I don't question it. It makes sense to me. I can go home and explain it. And if the Democrats have a bad idea, I don't mind at all voting against it because I can't explain it. But if it's a good idea, I don't care whether it's Democrat or Republican. Let's support it because it's good for our country. This is a red, white, and blue bill. They keep saying, what's a Democrat bill? It's going to help the Democrats for the 2022 election or 2024 and this and that. That's not my purpose at all. I don't think that at all that should be in the equation. Well, and then on the other hand, Stephanie, I know where you're going with this, but on the other hand, they're going to say, well, this is a green bill, a green deal. This is not a green deal. We're having a pathway with aggressive energy from fossil and doing it cleaner, using all the new technologies, replacing the dirty fuels around the world. That's decarbonization. So this is a red, white, and blue. It's a good piece of legislation.
Well, then, what are Republicans saying to you behind closed doors? Because publicly, quite a few have said you double-crossed them. Mitch McConnell is somebody that you speak to on a regular basis. Have you spoken to him since you presented this bill?
I haven't. Just since passing, we've said hello, and I shook his hand. I'm happy to sit down and speak to him. They all knew. I said, guys, you know I'm not for any type of big legislation. Never have been. This is the time we can't do that. But I can tell you one thing. If I can get a negotiation on an energy package that gives us the energy that we need for today, and if I can get accelerating permitting, which is what you've always wanted and I've always thought was needed, and we can pay down debt, and I'm going to walk away from something like that, then I'm here for the wrong reason. You don't need me if you just want someone that says, well, the Democrats are for this, the Democrats are against it, or the Republicans are for it, or the Republicans are against it. That's not who I am, Stephanie, and I think they all know that. They might be disappointed because they're afraid that this could be a good piece of legislation. They ought to embrace it. The same way they embraced the bipartisan infrastructure deal, the same way they embraced the mental illness for the gun bill, the things that we've been able to do in a bipartisan way. Those are all good politics because it's good government. This is good politics and it's good government. Take credit for it. A lot of the stuff in there is things that they've always touted.
Then are you trying to convince any Republicans to vote yes for this? Kyrsten Sinema is the obvious vote, but maybe there's somebody else out there you can convince.
Sure. I'm sure I would love for that. I'm saying I talk to all. They're all my friends. They really are. But I knew from day one they wouldn't change.
It doesn't matter who's your friend. Like, let's be honest. It doesn't matter who's your friend. You need to get the votes. Besides Kyrsten Sinema, Mitch McConnell's your friend. Are you trying to get Mitch McConnell?
I cannot get their vote because they won't change a penny of the tax code. If they believe that 15% should not be the minimum and corporations shouldn't pay anything in America, but the largest have $1 billion of revenue a year and won't pay anything, I can't convince them to change that. But I know that. I don't agree. I respect their decision. I don't agree with their decision. I think it's wrong. But I'm not going to chastise them over that. So I know I could not do that. I can't get them there because basically there's a fairness to the system. We didn't raise taxes. We didn't do anything. We just closed loopholes. Carried interest, they've even said this. We've talked about it before. But all of a sudden it comes down to I'm not changing a penny in the taxes. So if that's their position, I accept that. This is what I have to work with, and this is the best piece of legislation, and it's absolutely the most balanced piece that we could possibly get, Stephanie.
All right, Senator, thank you for your time. Before you go, what do you think the likelihood is this thing is going to pass if you had to play odds? 50%, 75, 90?
Oh, I think that we're in a good trajectory to get this done. I really do. I just think we all have to come together and look at it. So from when Kyrsten, my friend Kyrsten, is able to see everything, she'll make a decision. If she has some concerns, she'll reach out and tell me, and we'll just continue to talk. We always do that. But the bottom line is a lot of people were miffed because it happened. They didn't know about it. I will say this, Stephanie. I didn't want to disappoint people again. They get up and down and the emotions and the drama, and everybody gets upset and they were mad. You think I would go through this again because I liked the first 8 months I went through? I never gave up. I thought there's a pathway forward. And watching what Putin has done to Ukraine and watching how he's weaponized energy, and for us to sit here and watch now what he's doing to Europe by twisting the dial closed all the time on the energy they need, and we're sitting bound when we can be helping and really get up and running as quick as we possibly can to help them. And that's just so wrong. So that's really what motivated me to continue to find a pathway forward.
You know, Joe Manchin does bring up a good point there at the end with Putin and how he said twisting the dial there. He's now restricting Europe with oil there. You know, Europe said that they were going to, the EU said that they were going to wean off of Russia's oil, you know, with Russia being the second or third largest producer of oil and gas anyways. Um, Europe, you know, the EU basically seen it coming anyways, said we gotta wean ourselves off of oil, gas. The United States, being the number one producer of oil and gas in the world, was able to just cut ties with them instantly because we only got 5 to 8% of our oil and gas from them. Okay, we're actually a net exporter. Okay, so we import gas and we also export gas all at the same time. So we're constantly exporting gas and oil, and we're also importing gas and oil all at the same time. So every day we're exporting and importing at the same time. Okay. And a lot of this isn't really the president's choice, whether it's Biden or Trump. Okay. This has been going on for years. Okay. It's not the Democrats or the Republicans. A lot of this is the choices of the oil companies, the gas companies. Okay. So Shell, Exxon, BP, they're making the economic decisions of what they want to keep here in the U.S. and what they want to sell. Okay, so it's constantly being sold or kept here in the U.S. Okay, and really a lot of this doesn't really affect us too much because it's all based on the price of oil per barrel. Okay, so and this is why the Ukraine Russia war affects us because it affects the price of a barrel of oil. Okay, so that war over there affected the price of a barrel of oil, and that affected us. Even if we don't buy any Russian oil at all, it raised the price of a barrel of oil. Okay, even though we're not buying any Russian oil at all. Okay, so yeah, so and you heard if you watch my previous video here in the last video or two, Joe Manchin said this bill is going to affect. They're going to increase. With all this different stuff here through this bill here and through all this billions and billions of dollars is going to increase all sorts of production here in the U.S. with clean energy and regular drilling and permitting here going forward. That it's going to increase all sorts of production. So not just clean energy, but also regular gas and drilling here. Okay, and if you equate that to what he just said here with Putin and Russia, we do need to produce all sorts of different type of energy, whether it's clean energy like solar, wind, and nuclear, and also gas. Okay, because cars need gas. I've said this all along. I like to take a neutral approach as well because I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican. You have to look at things realistically. If you have a car that needs gas, solar and wind's not going to help you. Okay, it's just not. We need to still keep producing gas, okay? But on a government level, when it comes to like producing energy for like electricity and stuff, that type of stuff we could start to wean off of a little bit at a time because when you produce like solar electric, wind electric, and nuclear electric, okay? First of all, that's cheaper. You can literally just look it up here. Those type of electric is cheaper for the grid because when you build a nuclear power plant, when you build a solar plant, when you build a wind plant, you only have to build them once. Okay. You don't and you can just look up the cost of what they cost and the cost for the electric. They cost less than gas because first of all, look at $5 a gallon gas. It's extremely expensive now. somewhere in the fours. Okay. And over the course of time, gas is just going up. Inflation's going up. They just, gas is creeping up over time, right? If you build a solar plant now, it's still going to be there in 5 years. It's still going to be there in 10 years. You build a nuclear plant now, it's still going to be there in 5 years. It's still going to be there in 10 years. It's still going to be there in 15 years. You build a wind turbine now, it's still going to be there in 10 years. It basically has very little cost, just a little bit of maintenance, okay? If you get gas out of the ground now, is it going to be there in 5 years? No, it's literally as soon as you put it in your car or put it in a plant to burn it for electricity or for energy, it's gone almost instantly, right? How long does the gas in your car last? Less than a week or a few days, right? Depending on how much you drive. Okay, that's the problem with fossil fuels is they as fast as you burn them, they're gone. You have to continually continue to drill, 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 drill. Okay, so as we start to do renewable stuff on the government level for like power, that brings our costs down. Okay, but you can't rely on just one because solar when the sun goes down, it's stored in the energy banks, okay? But you can't rely on just solar. You can't rely on just wind. You can't rely on just nuclear. Okay, you kind of have a little bit of everything and you still need gas. You still need natural gas and you still really need some coal even though we're kind of getting away from that because again, it's dirty and you also it's expensive. You have to continually drill and drill and drill and it's finite. You run out of it eventually. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. But as you heard Joe Manchin, he's kind of a middle of the road guy. And, he's from West Virginia. So he's kind of involved in that stuff, if anything, with this and, his interests as well. So if anything, he kind of leans that way anyways. And if he's saying that it's going to kind of bring us all this stuff here and the renewable stuff, which is cheaper and you don't have to continually get it out of the ground every single week, it's got to kind of somewhat be true. So I'll let you know your thought, or you let me know your thoughts, and I'll keep you up to date here on a daily basis. But things are literally changing here and being updated here on pretty much an hourly basis. So let me know your thoughts. Make sure to subscribe down below and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos. It's completely free to do so, and I'll keep you up to date here. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And you can click here to see my new video about $2,000 stimulus checks and the push for even more here, hopefully coming out here as much as possible. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.